Today in history, in 1943, the Battle of Kursk is the largest tank battle in history. That starts.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history. I am your favorite partially Irish bloke, ZaChary, and I have not kissed the Blarney Stone. And neither should you. It's fucking disgusting.
My name's Meghan, and now I'm tempted to kiss the Blarney Stone.
Don't do it! It's gross!
What if it gives you powers?
It doesn't.
And I'm Matt. Today I learned there is a literal graveyard for old Ben & Jerry's flavors.
That's like with the tombstones?
Yeah, they have it's in the, it's at their headquarters. They have a literal graveyard that you can walk through that has all the old flavors. And from it has start date and end date of running the flavors.
I don't,
from what I can tell.
I don't know if that makes me more comfortable because we have laid those flavors to rest, and I will not worry about zombie ice cream. But at the same time, I'm incredibly uncomfortable about the idea of giving ice cream a religious ceremony to celebrate its passing.
Yeah, I also, don't know what that looks like for children that go to visit the Ben & Jerry's,
So,
you're confronted with a symbol of mortality that has nothing to do with humans and everything to do with fucking...
I looked it up.
I think my only other question... Okay, you looked it up, and I will ask my question after.
It's the flavor graveyard, so much like Flavor Town. You can go to the flavor graveyard. And it has a really charming, arch that has ice creams on it. Ice cream cones. And then all of the flavors have little headstones with ice cream cones with little angel wings.
Okay. My question still remains, and that is, when a flavor does pass from this mortal coil, do they give a full wake and funeral to it? And Mr. Ben & Jerry, can I be invited to this wake? Is it open container? And will you be mad if I eat the body?
I don't think that they do. I think it's really just more for fun to see.
I think it's because too many people were eating the body, but that's just me.
Honoring our dearly depinted flavors.
Depinted. I love it.
Depinted?
Depinted, yes, but she said depinted, so we can just move on from that.
Okay.
We give Meghan enough shit for ways she pronounces certain things.
We have to give her shit because she won't take strikes, okay?
She won't, yeah, absolutely not.
Recently, when the U.S. flavor, what a cluster, melted into oblivion, we decided to go one step further and hold an actual funeral at the flavor graveyard.
Oh, they do hold funerals.
At least once. Okay.
Did people get to eat the body?
We wanted to pay our respects along with our mourners from miles away, and a memorial was held fit for ice cream royalty. Let us lower our spoons in a moment of silence. It doesn't say, but the picture is really cute because it's the smallest coffin with
We're taking a little bit too much time.
There's never too much time for ice cream, Matt.
All right.
This is true. All right, everyone. Our strikes that Meghan doesn't think exists have been set to 0. A game of rock, paper, scissors has been played, and the order for today is me, followed by ZaChary, followed by Meghan. And with that out of the way, I will go first.
Aggressive, I love it.
My story begins in the year of our Lord 1807, when Napoleon, yes, you heard it here first, folks, my story is about Napoleon
himself?
Napoleon himself. Not Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Bonaparte. I know we gave the French a pass last week, and I did forgive them for all of their sins and mine.
Oh,
but
worry not, Zach. This is a story where we get to make fun of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. To this week is back to your usually scheduled French bashing.
You know what's interesting about Napoleon, which most people don't know, is that he was average height. Like most people, so there's a whole complex named after him, which is the Napoleon complex, because most people depict him as this very, very short individual, but he was like 5'6",
which at that time was normal.
Was normal. It was the average
I would
height.
argue
Yeah.
5'6" is still normal.
5'6" is a good height.
I was gonna call him a short king, but like also he's not.
In today's standards, he would be short king status, but that would only be if he wasn't French.
Yes.
And wasn't already an emperor.
I was gonna say, you can't be a king and an emperor, right?
What's a god to a king?
No kings, no gods, just podcast.
Just podcast. So anyways, it's 1807. Napoleon had just reached the height of his power, and he was riding high. The treaties of Tilsit had just been signed, which ended a very long war between France and Russia. I didn't look into any of the details about why they were fighting in the first place, but I would imagine it's because Napoleon has a Napoleon complex. Get it? I just said that was a full-ass lie.
Stop it.
Whether you know it or not, Napoleon was a hunter, and so to celebrate the end of the war, he asked his chief of staff, hang on, I do need to make sure that I say this as French as possible. That's not, his name is Alexander Berthier, but, you know, it's fun because French is a garbage language where the vowels don't make sense. But anyways, he asks his chief of staff, Alexander Berthier, to go out and collect some rabbits so that they can be hunted. A big, like, outdoor meal is prepared, and some of the, like, top of the top from Napoleon's army are invited to this meal, and they sit, they canoodle, they talk, and Berthier himself sets up these cages around the field where these men are sitting and eating.
Okay, Matt, can I just pause you for 1 second?
Sir. Yes, you can. Absolutely.
I don't ever baby talk me again. It's my pet peeve. Anyway.
Absolutely.
I will fucking leave.
Zach will take all 3 strikes.
No. I won't take strikes. I will strike.
He'll just go.
I will strike myself.
He will strike. No, I apologize.
So it's fine. It's not a big. It is a big deal, but it's not a big.
It is a big deal, and I do it only sometimes to bust your buttons.
I know, but I just want to go back to the fact that you say they were canoodling.
Oh no, not actually.
Okay, I was just like, was Napoleon hosting orgies?
I was just using the words that I knew.
Okay. I wanted confirmation of the canoodling or not.
No. Canoodling was the worst word for me to use because it does.
They were kibitzing. Got it.
That's the one. I knew it started and kind of went in the same direction.
It's a co-word, you know.
But yeah, no. So they were congregating and they were speaking. Like they were just having lunch. It was a luncheon. It was brunch. But while they're sitting and eating, Berthier puts the cages of rabbits out. Now, the fun thing about this story is that it got a little Procopious.
Okay.
And some stories say that Berthier collected a colony of rabbits, which is like a few dozen per colony.
They do fuck a lot, yes.
They do fuck a lot.
Canoodling.
And then others... And yeah, they canoodle all the fucking time. And then other stories say that he collected somewhere close to 3,000 rabbits.
Okay, that's a big difference, and that's a lot of rabbits.
That is a big difference. A few hundred compared to 3,000. Whatever the total was, as I mentioned, he sets the cages up around like a field nearby. And after the food's done and the men got their guns and their beaters, so essentially they beat the ground, scare the rabbits, shoot the rabbits. It's all in good fun. The men grab their beaters, they begin to walk the field, and the rabbits get released. I've never been hunting, so I can't imagine that I would react any differently if this same scenario happened to me. But what happened is that instead of running away, the bunnies ran straight towards Napoleon and his group of hunters.
It's vicious. It's got big teeth.
Let us join you.
So as these bunnies begin to run in the direction of the hunters, most of the men start laughing. They're like, surely this is a joke. This is the easiest, rabbit hunt we've ever been on. But the bunnies continue to approach, and the men start to square up for like a battle. Napoleon himself tries shooing the bunnies off with his riding crop as they're like charging into him and his men, and the bunnies are not taking no for an answer, so they start to like ram into his legs and climb up his legs and his jacket.
I guess it's scary enough.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, if it's 3,000 bunnies...
Yeah, that's a lot of bunnies.
I don't know that it's actually 3,000, but imagine just a wave of furry creatures running directly at you.
Painted a good
like,
picture.
if I saw a group of squirrels coming in my direction, I'd probably shit my pants. Yeah, hell yeah. So eventually the army of bunnies forces Napoleon to retreat to his carriage. And what's really interesting, and I wish I had the correct quote, but I paraphrased it here. There was a historian that reported on this and said that the rabbits appeared to display more understanding of combat than most of Napoleon's generals, and they broke off into two separate wings and attacked, flooding their way towards the imperial carriage.
What an absolute
A few of them managed
zinger.
An absolute roast of the man himself. A few of them managed to get inside before the carriage was able to start speeding off, and Napoleon was able to pick these bunnies up and throw them out of the carriage.
They're doing exactly what he wanted. They're trying to come with
right.
him.
No, I think the whole point of a hunt is that you don't want the thing to just lumber up to you lay down.
Yeah, but...
Which is exactly what these bunnies were.
The hunt is a lot easier.
Well, I mean, I guess they weren't really laying down, but they did make the job substantially easier.
I'm just laughing. And I'm sorry if I'm stealing this punchline from you, Matt. Because I don't know if it's in your notes. But I'm just laughing that even not in a wartime, the French find a way to surrender and retreat.
No, definitely wasn't in my notes, but I should have had it.
To be fair,
I'm happy that you made that.
This is an embarrassing surrender.
This is an embarrassing retreat. So it turns out that the reason this ended up being a problem was eventually laid at the feet of Alexandre Berthel, because he didn't get wild rabbits.
Oh.
He got tame ones.
Oh, no.
No.
So, like, legitimately, the rabbits believed that people being there meant that they were going to get fed. And so instead of running away from the people, they ran to them because people were their primary source of food.
And then they rioted when there was no food.
And then they rioted.
There's no bread.
And so these rabbits, this army of 3,000 rabbits, handed Napoleon one of his first humiliating losses in ground combat. And 8 short years later, he would also suffer a humiliating loss at war.
but maybe not as humiliating as this loss.
Not as humiliating as being bested by rabbits.
No, but still.
Pretty bad.
But yeah, no, I loved this whole fucking... Researching this was just so much fun. And again, it's one of those things where, like, I found this story because I was just browsing the internet, and it's like, you guys ever hear about that time that Napoleon got attacked by 3,000 rabbits? And I was like, I have not. And I have 2 friends that would probably love to hear this story.
I have not heard it. Please tell me more.
Yeah, please.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
You're good.
You're fine.
Don't worry.
You're good.
I'm sitting here drinking a Moxie because
Moxie.
I'm an old person.
So Zach, to your point of not enjoying being baby voiced.
Yes.
The other day, Abby and I were in a car together.
Yeah.
And she's just like, "What would you do if I talked in a baby voice?" And I was like, "I would dump you."
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, it's acceptable sometimes when you're talking to animals. I was like, it's never acceptable when you're talking to adult people.
Okay, but I'm stammering here because I don't even talk to animals that way. Like, I have had German Shepherds for most of my life growing up, and it was, okay, you're here. You are my pal. Great dog. But also, sit, stay, good dog. You know?
Roll over.
Come here. Drop it. Fetch.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
Yeah, see, I mean, I guess I don't really go full baby voice when I'm talking to my dog. It's mostly just like me going, "Who's a good girl?"
Yeah, like, but I think that's different because that's animal talk. You would not talk to a baby like, "Who's a good baby?"
I might. Don't put it past me.
I mean, but I don't even talk to children that way. Like, some people are like, "Oh my god, you're such a cute kid. How are you? Oh my god." And I'm like, "Hello, little one."
Yeah, no, I do that with all the kids at my work too.
Yeah.
Where like I'll walk around and they'll start screaming and I'm like, that was an incredibly inappropriate thing for you to say and I need you to knock it off.
Sorry.
Also, dear listeners at home, as Meghan is returning, if you'd like to hear more of our stupid shenanigans that happen off mic, because I'm going to keep this in the episode, go sign up for our Patreon. Look up Triumvirate Productions on Patreon, where you can hear What the Fuck After Dark. Shameless plug.
Shameless.
And with that, Meghan, are you all
Yeah,
set?
I swallowed wrong, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm dying here."
I'm glad you are all set and alive and not choking on spit or
Oh
water.
god, I was like, I have something to say. Never mind.
I can't. Oh god, I can't.
Never mind. The
Lord
The
has
water
taken
has
me,
taken my
much
voice.
like those
Lord
like
hath
those
taken me into his
bunnies
gentle
took
embrace.
Napoleon.
Anyways, now that my story is over and Meghan is back with
I do have
hydration. Remember, kids, stay hydrated.
Well, you gotta stay hydrated.
You gotta stay hydrated. Zach, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? Are you continuing this week?
Yes. For the third episode in a row, I did promise this would be a running thing.
He did
I
promise.
am proud to present... Heinous Gentlemen of History.
He says.
There should be a different theme song.
There is. I edited it.
Oh,
I edited in my own
you have
theme
a heinous
song.
gentleman of themes. Oh, nice.
Yes.
I love that exists. I don't ever listen to this podcast, so.
We just talk. We don't listen.
That's true.
But today I will be talking about someone who, yes, is in fact as Irish as they come. From my introduction, if you remember, a little callback, a little comedy.
Yeah, Blarney Stones.
Blarney Stones and such. But not not only was this heinous gentleman an Irishman, he was known as the Irish Robin Hood.
The Irish Robin Hood.
Yes.
There was
the Irish
already
Robin Hood.
an English Robin Hood.
I know, but fuck the English.
Oh, you're right.
We are coming for
I'm
We
coming
do it-
for everybody.
We do it bigger and angrier.
Already we're off to a great start because he is the Irish Robin Hood, and what is more gentlemanly than being Robin Hood, I guess? Because we are talking about James Freeney. Freeney had a code as far as his life went, and that code was simple. It was rob only those who are worth robbing. Mm-hmm. Which I understand is a little bit of a loose moral code and definitely has some loopholes. You know, worth robbing can be seen as they're rich and, you know, snobby, so we're going to show them something, or they have what I want, and that way, therefore, they're worth robbing. But I'm going to ignore the loopholes because he seems pretty okay in my book. So James grew up in Kilkenny County in Ireland, and he was born in 1719 to a respectable, powerful family in the region for quite some time.
Respectable, powerful.
Respectable and powerful.
Those are our family mottos.
Yes, this family is respectable.
That's my family motto.
Respectable and powerful. So the seat actually even had a family. Wow, fuck. The family even had a seat at Ballyready Castle since about the 13th century. However, in 1650, before James was even born, the family loses all of their lands and the status that they held. They lost it for a few reasons, and honestly, it's not really that relevant. All you need to know is rich and powerful family, no longer rich and powerful. But it is a great origin story, right? Like, let's be honest.
I know, it is good.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Family, man, this guy, his family was once born, now wealthy.
Hey, bud,
Yeah.
if you need a doctor, just
Yeah.
say so, and we will send one to you.
I don't smell toast, so we're okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. But yes, so his family, once born of wealth, is now diminished. Starting to sound like Robin Hood to me. So James gets a very good education despite the diminished status of his family. His dad at this point is working as a servant in a house, and James ends up actually being tutored in the house with the children of the family that his father is working for. And he ends up marrying one of the daughters of the family, and he opens up a pub with his wife, Anne. I don't want to talk about how stereotypically Irish that is, but...
I don't know. I mean,
Yep.
I guess there's a reason for the stereotype.
I guess,
Hey.
but, like, also...
There are worse stereotypes than settling down with a good missus and opening up a pub.
And opening a successful
You
business.
know what? You're right. You're right. There are a lot
There are
worse stereotypes.
definitely worse ones than being just a good entrepreneur.
Being a successful businessman with a happy wife.
But Matt and Meghan, that's where I gotta stop you.
Uh-oh.
Right.
That's where I gotta stop you. Because this is the mid-1700s, and at this time, the British government is doing absolutely wild things with penal laws in Ireland.
Penal is a funny word.
Yes, it is. But it is... Ireland at this point is technically under the British rule and is considered a penal colony. And like Australia, speaking of when we were saying don't fuck spiders earlier, and the British government is charging ridiculous taxes to people in Ireland. How fitting that this episode is being recorded the day after the Independence Day of the United States of America.
That's true.
Although I will not speak too much about that because you're still in trouble, America. Get back in your corner and shut the fuck up.
That's true.
Anyway.
I heard before recording there was like a leftover fireworks finale like somewhere near my house. I'm like,
Oh,
guys, it's over.
We get it. Things go boom. Shut
get
the fuck
it.
up.
To sidetrack briefly.
Yes.
Someone said something last night that was like a bunch of people sitting around waiting for something to explode is the most aggressively American thing that's possible.
That's so true.
And I could not disagree.
Yeah.
And then later on when people were clapping for the fireworks display, I was like, Americans clapping because something exploded is the most aggressively American thing.
Yeah.
But anyways,
No,
please
no,
continue.
you're right. And I know I didn't say we were going to talk about fireworks and Independence Day, but like, you know what? I guess we're gonna. Just a tiny bit. But anyway, so the British government is taxing the shit out of a lot of people in Ireland. Freeney was unable to pay the taxes and the fees on the land and the business because the British were basically using penal colony law to force Irish people into very specific, very shitty jobs. And I'm assuming you can guess that that did not include being a business owner. So James Freeney and his wife end up having to pack up the business and, well, stop the pub because of these taxes, and they have to pack up and they move back to his hometown, where James falls in with the Kelly Mount Highway Gang. And at the time, the Kelly Mount Highway Gang are like very local, very small. They're kind of like, oh, yeah, we're going to pull a few jobs here, pull a few jobs there. You know how it is, just make a little bit of money. It's a penal colony. We get it. It's criminals.
We get it. You're crimesmen.
Get it.
You're crimesmen.
You're crimesmen.
So Freeney and the Kelly Mount Gang start to ply their trade. Their trade being robbery, and they do it in the local area. But here's the best part about what they do. Because most of the places that they rob, or the things that they rob, are coaches. And these coaches that they rob are transporting, you guessed it, tax money.
Nice.
Ooh, girl.
Taxes.
James and the Kelly Mount Gang are just like, so you want to tax me and my people up the ass? I'm just going to take it back from you.
Well, you know. Yeah.
So the Kelly Mount Gang ends up gaining some notoriety, and they get a little bit bigger, and they actually end up expanding to like 5 different counties of just being like, well, we're out on the road, and we're gonna rob some people.
They started franchising out.
They didn't really franchise. They just kind of decided that, like, we're getting really good at this one area. Let's see if we can make it a bit bigger.
Oh, okay. They started leveling up.
Exactly. They're just like, level up.
Level up.
I didn't mean to stutter, but it worked that time. So they're robbing these stagecoaches, and they're robbing a lot of these wealthy elite. So they're robbing these wealthy elite, these stagecoaches, these societal bigwigs. But they, as I said, they did have a code, or at least James did, and he started implementing it into the rest of the gang. And the code that I mentioned was that you only steal from people who are worth it. And in this case, it was also a kind of way they ended up coming with like this thieves' honor, I guess. You know, we always joke and talk about like honor among thieves in modern day society, but these guys really lived it because they were instructed and as part of the gang to always remain polite in their encounters.
Yeah.
And if anything that they stole had sentimental value or a purpose with the person that they stole it from, it was promptly returned to the owner.
There's definitely a theme with your gentleman crimesmen, right? Where they're committing these crimes, but they're so polite about it. They're just like, oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
pardon
Meghan,
me.
he's not talking about dickbag crimesmen.
Dickbag crimesmen, the antithesis.
It's gentleman crimesmen.
Stop.
Yes, it is gentleman crimesman, but like also I think it is a me personal thing because I am not a crimesman. I do not claim to be a crimesman. However, if I was a crimesman, I would like to think of myself as the gentleman thief.
The gentleman crimesman.
I laugh because I was talking with some coworkers today. This is a small sidetrack, but it does relate back. I was talking with some coworkers today, and we were talking about the whole meme thing where it's like you can get $10 million right now, but there's an immortal snail chasing you, and if it touches you, you die. Would you take it?
Yes.
And I said yes, but then I would take that $10 million and I'd bankroll a bunch of art heists after that and become an international art thief, a gentleman art thief. Because if I have a snail chasing me, why not also have Interpol chasing me?
It's true.
Absolutely.
But I digress.
But then Interpol weaponizes the snail.
Oh no, shit, I didn't think about that.
They put him in a bleacher reacher cannon, and they start hucking it at you.
They find a way to enlarge the snail to kaiju size.
Well, then you know where the snail is, though.
That is true, but it's also kaiju sized. And I'm just saying, Godzilla doesn't work in scientific equations at all because a being that big, his heart would not be able to work. However, I don't think a snail has a heart, so I'm actually afraid. But I digress because now we're getting off topic. So James not only robbed from the rich, but he did also give to the poor. He distributed a lot of the wealth that he stole and generally tried to be a nice guy to the disenfranchised. And just to cap it off, just to really make this like, damn, this guy actually was Robin Hood, he was also an excellent archer and known to use his fists in a pinch. However, the caveat with that is that James never actually killed anyone. He robbed a lot of people in a span of 5 years, made money hand over fist doing it, but he never actually committed a murder. And this is, yeah, it's huge. Like, good. Oh my God, you never had a robbery go wrong. No one ever died because of you and your gang.
Yeah, I feel like that's hard as a crimesman.
It's exceptionally hard as a crimesman, I assume. I'm, again, not a crimesman, but I assume it's hard not to, cause some civilian casualties.
Cause some extra damage whilst doing crimes.
Yeah, exactly. But it never always goes according to plan. But
That's true.
Was apparently a very charming person and a very fun person to be around, and he used his wit and his charm to always get out of situations and never actually did the murder most foul. But that's really important because in 1749, James is captured and set to be hung, but he is never actually hung because they're like, well, he didn't actually kill anyone.
He's just
like,
too
no
polite.
one. He's too polite. No one died. They only died of politeness, I guess. But yeah, so since he...
They overdosed on politeness.
Overdosed on sweetness. So since he never killed anyone, they were like, we're not going to hang him. However, there's a little bit of a caveat to that as well. Lots of caveats. It's speculated that he also wasn't hung because it would have turned him into a folk hero for the people of Ireland. And
a D&D class.
Exactly. He would have just been had folk hero status, and the people would have been like, you killed this guy that we liked. Go fuck yourselves, and would have rioted. There's... that'll come along anyway, with or without this man, but we'll talk about that another time. So he ends up being forced to emigrate as part of a deal not to be hung until dead by the neck. And he ends up leaving Ireland for a bit and kind of traveling, and while he travels, he writes an autobiography, which I have not read, because I learned about it today. I knew about this man.
Just learned about it.
Yeah, pretty much. I knew about this man. I did not know about his autobiography. But it's an autobiography that he writes, and funny enough, in the autobiography, he never actually mentions any of the times he used his stolen wealth to pay people's rent, give general loans, or help the poor at all. It ends up coming all from outside sources who are later like, no, this guy, is the reason why I'm alive today. This guy paid my rent so that the British did not come in and just throw me from my home.
No.
Super humble, super nice.
A humble gentleman robber.
What a gentleman. A gentleman till the end, that one. And he ends up returning to Ireland before he dies. So he ends up dying on it. Yeah, pretty much. He ends up getting allowed to come home and die on his native soil, which I think is a fantastic
that's nice,
thing.
Though. He comes home, the returning legend, the hero.
Yeah. And he was a hero to the people. He not only, helped out in his small town with what he did, but as I said, that gang expanded to several different counties. And in all of those counties and all of those places, he was like, I just stole a lot of money. I'm not going to use all of it. You need to pay your rent or else they're going to evict you. Have the money.
Wild.
Yeah, and it's wild and it's awesome, and that is the story of the Gentleman Crimesman.
I really like this series that you're doing.
I also like this
series. I have so many more. I have a list compiled, and I'm going to be doing this for a while. I might take a break every now and then.
You should probably split it up a bit.
Yeah, I will. I think what I'll end up doing is
He sounded so sad. He was like, I guess,
but it's such a fun topic to talk about too.
I get
because
it,
it's
it definitely is.
That's how I feel with every Ronald Reagan story. It's I guess I'll take a break.
I think what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna end up doing maybe one or two more of these, and then going back to regular shenanigans, and then all of a sudden I'm just gonna play the fucking theme song for you. and you're gonna be like, "Oh shit, here's what's going on."
I'm so ready for it. We'll
You're
like,
just gonna all of a sudden hear.
I feel like you're gonna Pavlov us though into
Gentleman crime.
like us getting ready for Gentleman Crimesman.
You never know what it's
And
gonna
then
come.
you're going to tell us a story that has nothing to do with gentleman crimes?
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're gentlemen crimesmen. You don't know when they're gonna come. You're not expecting a gentleman crimesman at your door, but aha, there he is.
Oh, there he is. Oh Lord, he coming.
Oh Lord, he coming. Yes.
All right, we should move on.
All right.
We should.
All right.
Megan,
all right.
tell me your story of woe.
Of woe.
Yeah, I mean, I just assume.
I don't.
You have had a through line this entire time
That's not true.
Sad.
Sometimes
Not always.
Not always.
No, not always, but like you do have a reputation for having very
I
depressing
was gonna
stories.
say the eel pulling wasn't depressing, but people did die. So
Okay, well that was one time.
Just one
It was
time.
one time that they died from eel pulling. Anyway,
Tell us the name of your notes.
men need to do less and more at the same time.
That's the name of the
Yeah.
notes.
that's the story of my life.
Yeah.
That that reminds me of fucking Attack on Titan Abridged. You just gotta stay loose and
Tight
tight
at the
same time.
Yeah, so that's what I think men need to do. And this story.
Again, story of my life. I am a man,
I need to do less and more. So
but I'm a muppet of a man.
I'm not
Sorry.
a Muppet. I don't.
I am two
No,
Muppets in a
Zach
trench
just
coat.
wants to have Zach just wants to have a musical
Yeah,
moment.
Zach just.
I'm a
I well, that's
man.
like always.
All right.
That's like.
I'm the dad of this podcast, and I am getting us back on track.
Okay. All right. Here I go. So I think I have found a hill to die on.
Another one?
Okay.
Sorry to call you out like that, but like, I mean, we have a lot of hills and we're dying on all of them.
All right. I found another hill to die on, so that way I can assess all of the hills for the best view. Anyway, the feng shui, if you will. So this hill that I'm gonna die on is that husbands are nothing but trouble.
Okay.
In most cases. I'm not saying that I won't believe that there is an outlier good guy husband out there, but for the most part, my Yelp review on the product would be 0 out of 5 stars.
His name is Gomez Adams, and we've talked about this
Well,
before.
he's
Anyway.
the outlier. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's the outlier, and he's like,
Gomez Adams. Fuck.
yeah, he does.
We know
1,000%.
that.
He is the good guy, and like, Morticia is leaving the 1 5-star review on the Amazon product.
This is true. Yeah.
All right. She's
Fair.
like,
All right.
this is great. Everyone should get married. And everyone else is just like, I don't know. I'm prematurely aging and he can't do anything. Anyway, now we can point to a lot of reasons for such a negative review of husbands, but on this particular occasion, I'm going to explain the age-old practice of wife selling. You heard it here, folks. Wife selling. It sounds exactly how it is. I'm not going to keep you guessing. It was an invented custom originating back in 17th century England because divorce was expensive and a practical impossibility for all but the wealthiest. You know, when it's in between getting divorced and eating, sell your wife.
I'm just gonna say it. Practice polyamory if you're just gonna go that route. Just fuck you. Anyway, continue.
Listen, there was a lot of religion
Leave a
happening.
pineapple upside down next to your door. People will get the message.
This is a side thing, but I was in Providence, Rhode Island, and there's like a big old pineapple on their town hall, their state big house, if you will.
Their state bird is a pineapple.
No, their state bird isn't a pineapple, but
Their state is just a swinger.
they
Continue.
got a big old pineapple on that building, and my friend was just like, "Yeah, we got a big old pineapple." I'm like, "Man, Rhode Island for lovers and swingers."
Rhode Island fucks.
Rhode Island fucks. In conclusion,
Well, they got to be doing something.
Yeah.
They're very.
they
tiny.
have to drown out the taste.
Hey
of
Matt, it's
Narragansett
not the
beer.
size that counts.
I know.
And they have a lot of ocean to motion. Anyway, so there were a few reasons for wife selling. One was to end an unsatisfactory marriage. And the other was to pay off debts with the money gained. So that's good that you have a commodity to sell. Men would parade their wives with a halter or ribbon around their necks, arms, or waists and auction her off to the highest bidder, usually her lover. So, ooh, spicy.
Well, at
just
least
got
she
a
was
little
getting
spicy.
some, you know?
Yeah, at least she was getting some. The purchaser was usually arranged in advance, and the sale was a symbolic separation and remarriage. However, there were times when the sale was spontaneous, and the wife found herself in the hands of a complete stranger. So, whoops.
I don't
Gotta
like
love
that.
Oh, whoops.
Oops,
all strangers. All strangers.
Oops, all problematic.
All problems.
Oops, all very problematic.
Whoops, all
Oops,
problems.
all misogyny. Oops, all fuck the patriarchy.
There's a lot
Sorry.
of whoops happening.
There are a ton of whoops.
It was so this practice was so common at one point that the English philosopher John Locke wrote to the French scientist Nicolas Toynard, among other things, I have ordered you a beautiful girl to be your wife. If you do not like her after you have experimented with her for a while, you can sell her, and I think at a better price than a man received for his wife last week in London, where he sold her for 4 sous a pound. I think yours will bring 5 or 6 per pound because she is beautiful, young, and very tender, and will fetch a good price in her condition.
First off,
in her condition.
She's like, it's like new, good, gently used, good,
near mint condition.
near mint.
All right. I'm the philosophy fiend. I love philosophy. I never fucking liked Locke.
Well, you know, maybe for good reason.
I was more of a Hobbes guy. He was a lot more cynical, and I appreciate that.
He's more of a Hobbes man.
This is fucking disgusting. Fuck you all.
This is gross. So
I really just don't like that you can put like a full ass description on a person like that.
What? That she was in good condition?
I don't like the idea that like, well, just like to describe, like in her condition. It's like, bro, her condition is a human being.
She ain't a fucking used sedan. Jeez.
What makes a Subaru a Subaru?
You could get some mileage out of this one.
This wife can fit so many meals in her. I don't know.
I was gonna say slaps hood of
slaps
wife.
ass.
Slaps hood of wife.
Slaps hood of wife. Yeah, wives are now cars.
You can fit so many pounds in
Give me the wife facts. Can you imagine? They're just like, do you have the wife facts on this woman? And it's just her biography. She's been writing it. So the reason that wife selling became somewhat common is that before the passing of the Marriage Act of 1753, people just like agreed to a union at the age of consent, which for girls was 12 and for boys it was 14. Yeah, gross, but we are only living to 30, ladies and gentlemen, so
Okay.
We sure are.
this is about halfway through.
You've hit the age of consent and you're also having a midlife crisis.
Yeah,
Understood.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh no, what do I do for the rest of my 15 years? Exactly. I don't know about you guys, but like when I was 12 though, I was like, I really loved Lisa Frank. So
You loved what?
you know Lisa Frank, those
my
pictures, like
Yeah.
with the psychedelic dolphins and everything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I was like reading, the age of consent was 12, I was like, man, what was I doing when I was 12? And I was like, Lisa Frank. I can't really imagine myself, prepping for marriage.
I was about to say, you said
Yeah.
the age of consent for boys was 14?
It was 14, so whatever you were doing.
That would have made me like a freshman in high school. And
Yeah.
fuck that guy. You know what? You're correct. All men husbands, if they're 14, suck.
Yeah, well, you know, you got a 14-year-old husband. He's doing even less than
The average adult man.
the average adult man. So, I mean, to be fair, most teenagers, their brains are cooking at a rate that is amazing. So you can't really think while that's happening. Anyway,
That brain souffle ain't done, baby.
it's not done, dude. That's like it's like asking a deflated balloon to float. You know, it physically can't. Now that we know what I think of teenager brains, it's not their fault. But anyway, I wasn't mentally prepared for marriage. But the fact that there was no paperwork and really no protections for women at this time and in marriage meant that a woman forfeited her rights and was subordinated to her husband after one of these unions was formed. I will have it be noted that while some 19th century wives did object to being sold, there are few records of women resisting before then. So it seems that, like, for the most part, they were fine with this, from the records that we can find.
For the most part, I don't think women had enough of a voice to say whether they were fine with it or not.
Well, part of it seems like for the most part, like, if you were selling your wife, you were kind of like either in too much debt to want to stay in the marriage, or you were just wildly unhappy in it. So this was the way.
So the women were kind of fine with it because they were already unhappy.
Yeah, that is what the sense that I was getting from this practice. Like, divorce was expensive.
Yeah, but I guess the other interesting part of that is, so, like, the part of this that I like, as far as, like, the women already being unhappy, is when they go to sell, then it's just, like, the guy that's interested in her is the one that buys her, and she's like, oh, cool, a person that I'm interested in, and, like, that works out. I feel bad for the women that are like, I'm miserable, and then they get sold to a person that is not someone they know, and it's just like, oh, this is also bad.
Like, that
Yeah.
situation is why I have a problem. Like, I have a problem with the nomenclature, right? Like, the way that this is worded is bad. It should never have been wife selling, but it sounds like naming it this was a way to make, like, the quote-unquote divorce legal. Like, it was like a loophole, right?
Yeah.
Like a loophole that they didn't have to pay for.
Right, exactly.
So anyway, they didn't, like, these women, you know, few of them did resist, and they usually didn't have the financial resources or skills. And for many women, it was the only way out of, like, an unhappy marriage, like I said. Sometimes the wife even encouraged the sale.
Okay.
For the husband, the sale released him from any marital and financial duties to the woman, and the purchaser, like I said, was often, like, the wife's lover, and the transaction freed him from the threat of legal action and restitution for property damage, quote unquote, the wife, by the husband. So, like, you fuck another guy's wife, technically he can sue you for damaging his property. Yuck. Big yuck. So now you might be wondering how much a wife goes for. And the answer is that the prices varied. Much like Subarus. In the 1800s, wives could go for as high as £100, while others were as little as free or a glass of ale. Those poor ladies.
Oh.
I guess. I'm an ale's worth of a wife. Thanks.
I think it's so funny that they then, like, in the whole process of, like, you would often sell your not sell your daughter, but like a dowry.
I mean,
is that
yeah,
what that
I mean,
was?
like,
It's essentially
technically,
like
right?
this is what I will offer you to like
Take my
imagine
daughter off my
someone.
hands. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine someone offering someone like a dowry of something, and then that same person sells her for like a pint of ale.
Pint.
Oh, yeah.
Ale. It's like, I
mean-
paid 2 sows for you to take her, and you selling her for a pint?
Okay, but like,
But like, it's worse for the people that are just giving them away.
so here's the other problem that I have with this. And it's not even a moral problem, it's a business transaction problem,
this
which
is a
for me makes
business-
me feel shitty.
Big business
like,
problem.
At the same time, everybody loses except for the husband. Cuz like you get the dowry of like 13 sheep or whatever, and then you're also like, but I'm gonna make 100 fucking G's off this too.
I'm gonna make
Yeah.
100 G's off this bitch.
Like, that's the great scheme right there, is keep marrying, keep getting dowries, and keep selling.
Well, I
It's
imagine
fucking
so.
female fucking NFTs, and that's bullshit.
So I can't confirm this, right? Because like I didn't think of the business side of it, but I wonder if like it would get around that
I mean, probably, but that's why you have different aliases.
you're a wife seller. You know?
I promise I'm not a con man or a crimesman. I just know a good con when I see one.
I just know a good grift, if you will. So the usual price of wives seems to have hovered between 2 and 5 shillings, which I can't really give you the today's equivalent.
the 2020
Well,
money equivalent.
shillings aren't a thing anymore. They're an
Yeah.
archaic
Right.
form of munds, so we kind of stopped doing the conversion. We were wasting everyone's time. It also seems that while this practice was technically illegal, most rural magistrates knew that it was happening, but uncertain of its legitimacy, turned a blind eye. They were just like, listen, I don't know the laws, even though I'm paid to be the lawman around here. I'm not going to read.
Lawmen going up against crime.
Yeah, lawmen going up against crimesmen. It's a 50-50 about who's gonna win. It wasn't until the end of the 18th century that people began to view wife selling with some hostility. They were just like, something's not sitting right about this. So I was like, imagine being mad about selling people like chattel, and it could be because more people were doing it, and it was being reported on in newspapers. So like the news was getting wind of this and was like, hey, have we heard about the wife selling practices? How are you feeling about it? And it was getting to bigger cities where it wasn't common. That being said, it looks
Megan,
like
how many shillings did you say it was?
2 to 5 shillings.
2 to 5?
Yeah, 2 to 5. Yeah.
Okay, because from all of my quick research that I can find, a shilling in silver is worth about $2.37 of silver
Damn.
today.
Wow.
So like $5 for your wife.
$5 for your wife.
That's better than a fucking pint of ale.
What if it's good ale?
I can't. I was gonna say today I can't go down to a bar and get a pint for less than $7. So
That's true.
You're absolutely
The ale
right.
is worth more than shillings.
But I imagine back in the day,
yeah, yes,
it was like
Giving this shit
give
away
me
for free.
half a shilling, and you can have an ale.
Half a shilling.
I think it was like 10 pennies. Anyway,
So all that being said, it looks like as divorce became more affordable, the cases of wife selling did decrease, with the last case being reported in 1913, where a wife was sold to one of her husband's workmates for £1.
Nice.
Nice. I would have rather been alewife. not
that
the
station's
tea
garbage.
stop.
Anyway,
Not the C stop, but
That's the only tea stop that I go
yeah.
to.
Well,
Why are you guys dragging
I'm not
me like
dragging.
because it's the red
it.
line.
The red line is pretty garbage.
It's better than the orange line.
Okay, that's my
That's fair.
line.
The orange line is terrible.
But listen, that's the only line I know. We have orange line here. That is my line.
But like I think this is as much as it's disgusting to me, it's also interesting because, like, I also, and this is a practice that is still legal today, like the practice of like common law marriage.
Yeah, where like you live
Is-
together, you cohabitate for like 7 years or something.
And they're just like, you're married. There's no paperwork.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think New Hampshire is actually a state that still allows it.
I think so, too.
I want to say Massachusetts might be. As well.
Massachusetts is not. I'm gonna do a quick Google search here.
Common law marriage in Massachusetts. What is common law marriage? Does not
Common law
recognize-
marriage, Colorado, D.C., Iowa, Kansas, Montana, New Hampshire, Texas, and Utah.
Man, live together. Be careful, everyone. You're roommates in New Hampshire.
A polyamorous common law marriage, yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine that, like, by default, New Hampshire has accidentally, in its conservative practices, married so many polycules?
Okay, but hear me out. You know how, like, with everything that's happened and all the Roe v. Wade stuff, not to get on a dark path, like,
Not to go down
even
this
with
path.
that, even with that, like, women need to have their partner's consent for, like, so much bullshit.
Yeah.
The answer
The answer
is
is
polyamorous common law marriage.
polyamorous common law marriage really comes in clutch.
We fixed it. Your roommate is now your partner, and you are fine.
All 3 of your roommates are now your partners. We didn't make the rules. New Hampshire did.
Yeah.
New Hampshire said if you live together if you cohabitate for 7 years, they do not specify with who, you're married. And end of story.
There you go.
Gal
You heard
pals,
it here, folks.
Gal pals to wives real fast in a cool 7 years.
Wowzers.
And then, you can maybe don't sell them.
Yeah, don't.
Do I get the feeling that we're spiraling now because we've run out of podcasts?
No, I think that was a good wrap
Is
up.
the real just spinning on the
I think
the thing?
it's not quite spinning on the thing. We're not circling the drain. I do want to just make the point that A, fuck Napoleon.
Yeah.
Yes.
B, Robin Hood's cool.
That's
and
true.
C, don't sell your wife.
Don't sell your
Don't
wife.
tell your wife.
My wife.
My wife who became another man's wife.
Zach, do you want to do the thing about our socials while we're
I
here?
would love to do the
Didn't
thing
you
about
already
our
do
socials.
that when I was coughing?
No.
Oh.
I gave you the respect you deserved and only promoted our Patreon.
Oh, thanks.
But if for some reason you found yourself at the end of the podcast and didn't listen to the middle, first off, how the fuck did you get here?
How did you get
Second-
here, though?
Second, you
I don't even know. By all accounts, it doesn't make any sense.
did you steal the fucking Ford Tacoma? That if so, please return it to us post haste. But yeah, if you are feeling snazzy and you're listening to us, so and the whole series of Gentlemen Crimesmen, so you should be feeling snazzy. You should follow us on our socials. If you look us up on Facebook, the Triumvirate Productions, you'll find us there. If you look us up on the Instagrams at _triumvirate_productions. You can also find us on our Patreon, where you can just look up the Triumvirate Productions on Patreon, or you can go directly to the link, which is patreon.com/thetriumvirate productions. Because, let's get official. Make sure you put your https:// first, because and www, whatever. I'm spiraling now. But go follow us on our social medias. And if you sign up for our Patreon, we have $3, $5, and $10 levels where you can get some fun bonuses, including What the Fuck After Dark and show notes, as well as just uncut episodes so you can hear everything together. All of the shenanigans that run now for like an hour and a half because we're monsters.
No, because we're monsters.
We are monsters.
All right.
All right, now that Zach's done doing that, I'm going to do my bit, which concludes every episode. And I'm going to ask you, the listeners, sitting at home, to join in with me. Now, what's going to be difficult is that there's going to be a little bit of a pause here, and I'm going to say the thing, and I just have to hope that you're in sync with me right there at home. Okay, listeners, here we go. What the fuck, history? You did such a good job! Proud of you!